All right. Hello. Good evening, everyone. I think we're going to get started. Welcome to the 15th annual Spot Prawn Festival, hosted by the Chef's Table Society, our first virtual event. My name is Lien Yeung. I am delighted to be your host and MC this evening. I'm normally a host and producer, as you can see on the screen there at CBC Vancouver. But currently, I am on maternity leave. So instead of coming to you live from studio like I normally am, I'm coming live to you from my dining room table. So it's not quite so fun with all our set lights and whatnot. Yes, I'm on mat leave. Baby is out for a walk, so hopefully you won't hear him screaming this afternoon. I am very excited to be here with all of you tonight. I mean, normally we would be in False Creek enjoying the festival on a beautiful sunny day like today, but instead here we are. Thank you to COVID times here in our own homes, most of us here, trying out some of the recipes. So it should be a fun night. I am a big restaurant supporter, love eating out and love spot prawns. So on behalf of the Chef's Table Society of BC, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the ever popular festival, particularly during what has been a bit of a challenging year. I'd like to start by acknowledging that I'm joining you from the traditional lands of the Coast Salish peoples, the Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, and Musqueam. I'd also like to recognize that you are all joining us from near and afar, and to acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. If you don't know whose lands you sit on, a really great resource is native-land.ca, and you can take a look there and see, if you punch in your address, you can actually see which ancestral lands you are on. So I wanted to begin by acknowledging that. So as you know, tonight I'm going to be joined by quite a number of talented BC chefs and spot prawn experts, including Chef Darren Clay. He's the president of the Chef's Table Society here in Vancouver. Pirie, he's the president and general manager of Walcan Seafood and Tide to Table on Quadra Island. And Chef Robert Clark, the co-founder of the Spot Prawn Festival. And of course, the three chefs who created those delicious recipes that you may have already watched some of their videos. And we can ask them some questions about those recipes later tonight. We have Chef Angus Ann. He is here in Vancouver. Chef Ken Nakano over in Victoria. And chefs Stacy Johnston and Chef Ned Bell. They are joining us from Naramada, and they're actually going to be in the middle of service coming to us from the kitchen. So that'll be really fun to be able to see them doing that. So even though we're not on False Creek, we are still, of course, celebrating this year's Spot Prawn Festival with everyone across the province and across Canada. But before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. If anyone's experiencing audio or video issues, if you can't see me or you can't hear me or you can't see the presentation that we've got here on Zoom, you can ask questions in the Q&A box down at the bottom of your screen. Later on, you'll actually be invited to partake in our conversation. If you've got questions for any of our chefs, for any of the founders of the festival, or anyone from the Chef's Table Society, you can punch in your question into the Q&A. We've got our tech expert, Julia, here as well. She'll be able to answer any of those questions. And of course, our chefs and the experts we've got here. So as part of the event, you will have received a grocery list, 3 recipes, and links to the cooking demos from chefs An, Nakano, Johnston, and Bell. And I don't know, maybe some of you are very ambitious or great cooks in the kitchen are already making those recipes or enjoying them as we're watching. But maybe like me and my husband, we've got some things going on in the kitchen already, so I can smell the recipes. We have Chef Nakano and Chef Johnston and Bell's recipes going in our kitchen, so it smells amazing in here. And I've probably got some questions for Angus to ask later, because I thought his recipe was kind of complicated. A bit of a rookie chef here. All right, so before all of that, I'd like to first introduce all of you to the co-host of this celebration, Darren Clay. He's the president of the Chef's Table Society. Hello, Darren. Over to you.
Thanks, Leanne. And thanks everyone for joining us this evening. It's great that we can still do this in this updated fashion. I'm the newly elected president of the Chef's Table Society of British Columbia. My day job is with UBC Food Services. And I'm proud to let you know, you may or may not know, that about 2 years ago, UBC has committed to using only sustainable seafood throughout all the resident dining halls. So Last year's lockdown happened right around the same time as we were planning the Spot Prawn Festival, and we didn't have a lot of time. People were not pivoting back then, or we were learning how to pivot. So this year, like every other food outlet, we're adapting. And the chowder that we would usually serve down at Fisherman's Wharf by Granville Island is actually available for sale frozen through Legends Hall and Organic Ocean. And we'll give you some details a little bit later on how you can order that great chowder and help support the Chef's Table Society. And instead of having our members down at the dock sharing their spot prawn creations, we usually do a brunch. We're celebrating with showing you those dishes online so that chefs across the province on social media, on our social media channels, can share their recipes with you. And of course, our main event tonight, featuring recipes from our 4 very talented chefs from across BC. And I just want to thank everyone once again for your support of sustainable local seafood and of the Chef's Table Society. It's going to be a delicious evening. And back to you.
All right, thank you so much for that, Darren. Pivot, isn't that the word of the year? I guess it's been a year and a half now, particularly for the restaurant industry. Everyone has just been trying to survive and changing on a dime and doing a great job at it. It's been a tough year. I'd like to now introduce our other co-host, someone who is an advocate for BC Spot Prawns long before many of us even knew about them. He's also been recently honored with the Order of Canada for his tireless promotion of sustainable oceans. Please welcome the founding Chef's Table Society board member, Chef Robert Clark. Hi, Robert.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm very well.
You see me?
Great shirt. Yes, we see you. Over to you.
This is so exciting. I can't believe, I mean, when we had visions or aspirations for the Spot Prawn Festival so many years ago, but the Chef's Table Society has done such a phenomenal job in pivoting and be able to bring this this celebration, despite the fact that COVID has put such a huge damper on the way we like to enjoy ourselves here in British Columbia. So I can't thank them enough for and I applaud them, and we should all be applauding. Tonight's going to be a very exciting evening. I'm very anxious. I do have one question though. I didn't get the recipes. I thought that because I said that I'd participate, that I'd actually get some recipes. But that's okay. I can talk to the guys individually, and I'm sure they'll share them with you.
You might know someone that could hook you up with a recipe later.
I'll talk to the chefs, but yeah, I'm sure that everybody at home that's got these recipes and you're preparing spot prawns, it's going to be a great evening for you guys. And if I had the recipes, I'd be enjoying spot prawns this evening too. But I guess I could be here and listen and enjoy virtually what everyone's doing. So let's get started.
Yeah, you'll figure something out. I have a feeling, and I'll email to you personally afterwards. I have all the links. So Robert, Robert, so I've got a couple of questions for you before we begin the Q&A portion has officially started. So first of all, you were one of the first chefs to serve spot prawns, back in 2007, I believe is the date. You must be very happy to see, as you say, that we're still eating them today. And it really feels like the interest in spot prawns has grown year over year. I remember last year, I actually pitched a story to the newsroom because I think that, obviously it was the pandemic. We were all sitting at home doing not much other than eating. And I called, I think, 8 different fish stores and couldn't find spot prawns anywhere because there was just such a huge demand for it. And I've seen the lineups at Steve's Den. Like it's been amazing to see how people have been excited and embraced spot prawns.
Yeah, it's been very receptive. I mean, honestly, when we started the Spot Prawn Festival, I mean, the deal or the conversation with Steve Johansson was kind of, we need to get some local spot prawns into the marketplace, and but people weren't really interested or didn't really know about them. So the festival was really about exposing them to our chefs community. I mean, that was part of what the Chef's Table Society's mandate was, is sharing information, and this was just one of our efforts to share that information. But my God, the amount of Vancouverites came down to the dock. I nearly sank the first year. I mean, the guys at Fisherman's Wharf were freaking out because of the general public's excitement about spot prawns. And I mean, honestly, I mean, spot prawns are such a delicacy. Like they're such a great product. It's a pretty easy sell. I mean, if we were trying to promote something else, it mightn't have worked so much. But spot prawns they can't help but being loved. They're so delicious. So the Spot Prawn Festival, I mean, it's gone forward. Oh, I like the picture, red beard. That was a long time ago. So early on, I used to actually go fishing with on Organic Ocean One and harvest the prawns with Steve on the morning of the festival. And then I got the honor of taking the first bucket up to the chefs that would be preparing them for everyone. And the festival has changed a lot over the last 15 years. It's evolved, and it's just incredible what the Chef's Table Society does, and I couldn't be prouder.
How have you seen the interest change over the years?
Well, yeah, because just more and more people are becoming aware. Unfortunately, this year, because of COVID, it's not happening. But there are people that come to Vancouver, and this was the ultimate dream. They come to Vancouver. They organize their vacation to be in May, so they can be in Vancouver for spot prawn season, and that is the true win. That's a true indicator of a community that has some food culture in it, because you can do that anywhere else in the world except very few places here in Canada, maybe lobster and PEI. So that's a success for not just chefs, not just Vancouverites, but the hospitality industry, all the dollars spent, people coming. Anyway, I'm going on. I'm marketing for Tourism Vancouver here now. Yeah, so it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a big part of that is your advocacy work, and that's led to a small little honorific called the Order of Canada. So was that a surprise to get that? Congratulations, of course.
It was shocking, really. I mean, they said, I asked them, I said, are you sure you've got the right Robert Clark? And they go, yeah. And I said, okay, well, tell me what I've done. And ironically, the person that was put in charge of informing the honorees didn't know what they were honored for. So she actually couldn't tell me why I had won. So I spent a day and a half going, yeah, for sure they messed up. But anyway, they sent an email. They explained that it was, helping build the OceanWise program. So then I said, well, it's got to be me, I guess. So, I mean, what's important, I mean, it's humbling and it's an honor, but what's really important is, and I'm sure people need to understand that what's weird about it wasn't just me. I mean, there was the perfect storm of factors that brought the OceanWise program into fruition. I mean, it was the drive of John Nightingale. I mean, Mike McDermott, his efforts to take it across the country. None of that was me. I was the catalyst. It was my hopes or dreams or whatever, however you define catalyst. But there was a lot of people that's made the OceanWise program a success over its existence, and they work hard. I mean, all the obstacles that they have to overcome now to, the shake up at the Vancouver Aquarium, and they just keep. There's a vision. There's a mandate. There's a necessity for educating people in sustainable seafood, and they're doing a fantastic job. Everybody's doing a fantastic job. That's the secret. Surround yourself with successful people and smart people, and they'll make you look good. It's cornerstone of my success. Cornerstone.
Well, that is, that's a sign of great leadership is that humility. And you know what, folks, tonight, not only are you getting recipes, a Q&A, you're also getting some great life advice too. Chef Robert Clark, thank you for that. I mean, you alluded to it, but we want to know, so what makes spot prawns such a great seafood for people to eat over other kind of commodity imported seafoods?
Well, it checks off all the boxes, regardless of your feeling about pretty well anything. I mean, if you just like high quality seafood, check spot prawns. If you like sustainable seafood, check spot prawns. If you're an advocate for eating local, another box. I mean, they're perfect. They're the perfect. They're the poster child of a high quality local OceanWise product here in British Columbia. So it's I wouldn't say it's an easy sell. A lot of people have worked very hard, put a lot of effort into more so getting spot prawns actually into the market. If you talk to, say, a herring fisherman, spot prawning is pretty easy. Now, I didn't say that, but that's what I hear. Oh, there's some boys. Look at that, Frankie. Ah, nice. Oh, the beard. Oh, this is a newer picture. My beard's gray now. Good. We're getting more contemporary. Yeah. So I mean,
but what makes
the only
it
challenge is
sustainable?
that they're very perishable. Why they weren't in the marketplace 20 years ago is because they're very perishable and they're very fickle, and they deteriorate really quickly. All crustaceans, you should never eat dead ones. Lobsters, crab, you don't eat them. They're garbage. Spot prawns, that is true for spot prawns as well. But the thing about spot prawns, the enzyme in their heads soften the tail meat a lot quicker than any other species that I've been made aware of anywhere that I've had exposure to. So in the early days, the only spot prawns you really found in Vancouver were the dead ones on ice that were garbage to begin with. That's why people didn't really appreciate, even care about spot prawns. But when properly handled, and the guys, the fishermen, put a lot of effort into bringing the quality to the dock. When you got quality, then of course it's going to be appreciated, and it truly is.
That's very interesting. What makes spot prawns sustainable?
Well, different organizations have different criteria. For the Oceanwise program, a number of them are a well-managed fishery is important based on science. So the DFO spends a lot of time. The prawn fishermen themselves actually pay for the science, is my understanding. But they manage it very well, so that they call it the spawner index, which determines how many females are left, or the spawners, how many spawners are left for next year's season. And they close areas down according to when there's not the female population has reached a point where we can't take any more. So it's considered to be a well-managed fishery. For environmental impacts or damage, they use pots. They just drop these, just like crab traps or whatever, pots that sit benign on the ocean floor. So there's very little environmental damage when harvesting spot prawns. As far as bycatch is another indicator, you're looking for a product that geez, I lost my whole train of thought. You're looking for a product that has very little, that you don't want. In the old days, they used to say 1 pound, you get 10 pounds of bycatch for 1 pound of prawns. If you ever watched, Forrest Gump or whatever. But spot prawns, there's zero bycatch. There is occasional things brought up in the trap, but they're all unharmed, and you put them back. You put the small spot prawns back, like the males that will eventually turn to females. You put you don't have to, but you put the octopus back. Any fish that come up, and very few. And actually, this is one point that I find, well, it excites me anyway. So 15 years ago, or when I first started spot prawning with the guys, there was zero bycatch. Like, you could spend the whole day out on the light bulbs. You got 6 strings, pull all 6 strings and not see anything but shrimp, which didn't really dawn on me at the time. But now you see lingcods and tommycods and all kinds of starfish and octopus. There's a lot of life. I believe that, I'm not a scientist, but I believe there's more life on the ocean floor. That Howe Sound is getting healthier, English Bay is getting healthier, because I see more fish than in the traps than there used to be. And that's not a negative thing, because they're all put back on armed, but it just means that there's more going on down there than just spot prawns hanging out. Was there a question there?
Oh, we always want to see. Well, yeah, the question is why it was sustainable. So I think.
Oh yeah,
answered.
and then yes,
Yes.
and then it's there's susceptibility to overfishing. So they have a 4-year life cycle. So that's very, very fast, opposed to other species that maybe 30, 50, 150, right? So.
Okay.
Well,
great. That's a good little primer there. Thank you, Chef Robert Clark. And now to talk more about spot prawn fishery itself, a member of the Pacific Prawn Fishermen's Association is with us. I'd like to welcome Cam Pirie. Hi, Cam. He's the president and general manager of the family-owned and operated Walcan and creator of Tide to Table. Cam, how's it going?
Oh, very good.
You're not in Vancouver. You're in Campbell River right now, right?
I'm in Campbell River.
Yeah. Very nice. So tell us a little bit about the spot prawn fishery. Like, for instance, like, how long does it last? Like, what does that process look like for you guys?
So, I mean, the longest spot prawn opening in my memory, 2009 was a long season. We had about a 90-day season. But usually we're kind of more between 30 and 50 days. Last year was a 47-day season. If I was going to guess, we'll probably see somewhere between 30 and 40 this year is probably most likely. And like Chef Robert was saying, they use the spawning index, what percentage of female prawns are found to decide if a sub area or an area needs to be closed. And that spawning index is based on the fact that spot prawns are protandrous hermaphrodites. So that means everything's born male, but when they get to be 3 years old, there's some percentage that become egg-bearing females. And if they see that percentage reach a certain level, they'll say, we need to close this area. So yeah, so my guess is we'll probably be somewhere between 30 and 40 days this season would be my guess. Kind of more about how we got involved in the spot prawn fishery. 1996 was when we first started into processing spot prawns. And it was kind of at the urging of a lot of our Japanese customers who had said, we'd really like to find access to the BC spot prawn. Culinary College in Japan, we're trained to look for that spot prawn. We want to process in a very specific manner. We really want to find access to it. And that was kind of how we stumbled into it. So I think I was 19 that first year that we started processing spot prawns. And it is a real adventure as far as fisheries for sure.
Yeah, it must be tough because Robert was saying that they deteriorate so quickly, you don't have a lot of time, right?
Yeah, they are. They're kind of like the canaries of the ocean. You've got all these variables that you need to keep really perfectly balanced for them to stay alive. So you need to have the right level of dissolved oxygen. You need to have the right temperature. If your temperature is off, they can die on you right away. You need to make sure that you've got the right salinity of your water. You need to have the right pH in your water. So for fishermen who are fishing, if they're fishing live, then they need to be able to keep all their prawns alive on the boat, deliver to a truck or to a plant, have that plant keep them alive, handle them all, and move everything through in one day to be ready for the next day. So
wow.
for example,
Okay, so
sorry, go ahead.
And then I have to ask, for those of us who are, end consumers, how can we keep our spot prawns as fresh as possible? What do you recommend? Should we be buying from the boat in the morning, or should we be trying to buy them from the tank towards right before supper time? What's your advice?
So the biggest thing is to make sure that they're alive when you buy them. And I would always suggest that if you buy them and they're alive, eat them that day. So first thing you do when you get them home is you want to probably run a sink full of fresh water, add some ice cubes into it, drop them into that, and that will stun them right away. While they're stunned, you want to remove the head right away. And if you're not going to eat them all that night, take the tails that you're not going to eat, put them back in your fridge and keep them cold. For everything that you are going to eat, make sure you eat it that night. So I think they're best when they're enjoyed immediately. And like Chef Robert was saying, you want to make sure you remove the head so you don't have to worry about the enzyme turning any of the meat in the mushy.
So once you stun them, what happens? They just don't die as quickly?
If you stun them, it basically kind of knocks them out. So, and if you've got the water really cold, that just means that when you remove the head, it's going to be a really humane way of doing it. So they're unconscious at that point.
Right.
Yeah, so fresh water and ice, that's what I would do. Buy them live, make sure they're moving. If you're going to buy them, the best time to buy them is in the afternoon after the boat's returning and has already picked everything up. So what we do is we have a home delivery service that we alluded to there, Tied to Table. And we keep them with oxygen in a box, with wet newsprint, with gel packs on top. And that will keep them alive for roughly, 12 to 24 hours. So same thing would be delivered to somebody's house. You'd want to open them up, put them in fresh water with ice cubes, remove the heads right away and enjoy them that way. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And so last question for you, Cam. So how has the pandemic affected your industry? I mean, pivot has been the word we've already heard several times. What's it been like for you this year? I guess it's been 2 years now. Yeah.
Yeah. 2020 was really tough for everyone. So, I mean, we were at the point when COVID really hit and everyone realized how much impact it was going to have. I mean, we just finished putting up a year's worth of smoked salmon that was going to be sold in duty-free stores, in gift shops. We had just finished putting up a year's worth of sport bait herring for salmon fishing lodges up and down the coast, all the way to Alaska. And we were just finishing leasing licenses, getting boats ready for Spot Prawns, buying packaging for Spot Prawns, buying bait for Spot Prawns. So we had all this money invested and ready to go for the industry. And all of a sudden, we basically found out it was like every restaurant in the world was going to be closed. Who knows when it's going to open again? Nobody's going to be able to eat sushi. So what were we going to do at that point? And that was really when we pivoted. It was on May 8th was the day that we launched Tide to Table. And the program was based on prioritizing VC first and giving them access to all the seafood first before anything went up to export. And that's what we're going to continue to do. So it was a lot of thanks to my brother Brandon in his expertise as a chef and his expertise after being on the Canadian Culinary Olympic team, and him being able to help kind of guide us through a lot of those different products that he engineered and he designed. And that was what made it possible for us with Tide to Table. So right now, again, that's the same platform that we deliver right now, door to door, if somebody wants to buy live spot prawns all throughout Vancouver Island, all throughout the Lower Mainland. So it was a real difficult, risky pivot, and it was one that I'm so glad that we did.
Yeah, that's crazy. Is it going to stick around afterwards, you think?
Yep, it will for sure.
Yeah, you basically discovered a whole new distribution channel, right? One that you had to, one to keep surviving.
We kind of built it from scratch ourselves. I mean, we built it from out of the back of a pickup truck on Quadra Island, and now it's throughout the Lower Mainland. So we're pretty proud of that.
Nicely done. All right, well, thank you, Cam. I am now going to introduce the chefs who have generously provided their special spot prawn recipes and the cooking demos. Yeah, they are now invited now to, sorry, you are now invited to add any questions for the chefs in the Q&A. Oh, I think we may already have a question in the Q&A. Oh, how can we get to the recipes? Yes, you absolutely should be able to get the recipes. They should be emailed to you. And if not, maybe connect with one of the event organizers, and I'm sure they'll be able to send them to you. You and Chef Robert Clark will both be getting those recipes, I'm sure. So we're going to be answering more of your questions as I bring the chefs on. So leading us off is Chef Angus An. He's one of Vancouver's most influential chef restaurateurs with 7 restaurants and eateries in his restaurant family, including Fat Mao Noodles, Freebird Chicken Shack, Longtail Kitchen, Maenam, Popina Canteen, Popina Cantina, and Sen Pad Thai. His flagship restaurant, Maenam, has received many local and international accolades, and he's been named one of Zagat's top 200 restaurants in the world. Last May, Angus published his first cookbook, Maenam, A Fresh Approach to Thai Cooking. I have it. It is a beautiful, beautiful cookbook. It's stunning. So if you want to get your hands on that, you can afterwards. And he's done a cooking demo for us. Welcome, Chef Angus An.
Thank you. Nice to be here. I was thinking to myself that every time someone says pivot in this webinar, I was going to take a sip of wine, so I'm actually freshly out. Yeah, I was like, that'll be a really cool drinking game. If someone says pivot, I'll take a sip of wine, and then I was playing by myself, and I'm all out of wine. So I was about to get up and get some more, but then it was my turn to get up. So
I think the Q&A is going to become really fun if you keep going with this drinking game. You know, every time I've done an event with you, you've always had a glass of wine in hand. So Angus, we're going to have a great time. This is going to be wonderful. So thank you for joining us tonight. So first of all, I want to ask you, what's it like developing recipes for spot prawns? Because I mean, Maenam is obviously a Thai restaurant, and the dish that you've done is served at Maenam. So it's not. I mean, obviously the spot prawns are from the Pacific Northwest. What's it like creating recipes for it in your cooking?
Well, I want to answer that in twofold. So actually looking back at some of the clips with Chef Clark and the 2007 Spot Prawn Festival, I remember that was the year Gastropod opened, and I was one of the person, on the dock and getting the fresh prawns. And, from then to now, obviously back then the recipes were very different as a European restaurant. And now I think when we morphed into Maenam and we started doing spot prawn recipes for Thai restaurant, the first sort of relationship that I went to was in Thailand. There's a really beautiful fresh King River prawn. They have to catch them in the river. They're about this big and they're just beautiful. They're wild. And the ways that we serve spot prawn at the restaurant are often similar to the ways that we serve King River prawns. It's obviously texture-wise, it's a much firmer prawn over there. But in this case, if you grill it right, if you cook it right, it's flavor-wise, it's even better. It's more delicate, it's sweeter. So
yes, and as I learned, wow, it's really quick on the grill, like 45 seconds or something like that, right? To not overcook it. Oh, Sherry and Phil has contributed to our Q&A. Has already said, Chef Angus, your dish was killer. We paired it with a Blue Mountain sparkling rosé. So Sherry and Phil, I hope you are doing the pivot drinking game with us. There, I just said it for you. So when and how were you introduced to spot prawns? Were you cooking them? Was it because of the festival that you came to learn about them?
Growing up, so we moved here when I was 10 years old, and growing up, my dad had a fishing boat, so we often would go catch, and we would catch some spot prawns back then too. So back in those days, growing up in a Chinese family, eating them raw is not necessarily our thing. So I've always just tried them kind of blanched. But I think with gastropod, we started serving them raw a lot, kind of crudo style. So I think my most preferred way is probably blanch if I'm just eating it as is. And grilled is good too, and raw, I sort of switch it up.
Okay, then now you have to tell us what's your dipping sauce when you do blanch. What's the preferred sauce at home?
Honestly, the sauce that you would make for this dressing, this salad, you could actually, it's a pretty typical dipping sauce for the prawns. It's two parts. I mean, the nam jim, obviously you saw on the clip that we filmed. Later on, I mixed in the chili jam as well. So I forgot to mention this on the clip, and Leanna was already complaining how difficult my dish was, but you can actually buy the dressing without the chili jam from Legends Hall or from Maenam. Since COVID, we pivoted to making them in little packages so that people can enjoy our sauces at home, as well as our black pepper sauce. So you could actually buy our sauces and have them with spot prawns if you find it to be challenging. But I thought it was a really fun thing to do, especially with a modern pesto. Again, I probably did mention, but you can also make it in a RoboCoupe or a blender or something.
It looked amazing. I mean, I was saying just before we logged on there, I was watching last night at midnight with my husband. We were just like drooling, saying, okay, well, you know what? This was really difficult to make, but what Angus did achieve was really entice us to come into the restaurant to eat, because that's what this dish was calling for. It looked amazing. A lot of work, but I'm sure it will work. I'm sure it's worth it. So tell us about this dish. How did you come up with it, and why did you choose it for the festival? Between all the chefs, we were talking about who's going to do what, and I sort of wanted to do something a little bit simple. Being Maenam, I want to do something that's representative of Thai food as well. And the two things that I think that we do at the restaurant that stands out is a hot and sour soup that we do, as well as this dish. I just thought this dish would be a little bit easier to teach, but maybe I could always just. You guys should just buy the book and learn all the dishes. There's probably like 5 or 6 spot prawn recipes in the book too. So I should just change it to spot prawn book. Spot prawn book. There you go. Yeah. I love it. And would you you would peel? Are you supposed to eat the shells? Like how? Because I know like there's like deep fried prawn heads and people eat the whole thing. And I know I was watching your recipe that you left the shell on, like into the salad. Would you eat with the shell on, or would you peel?
So I cut them in half, and then the beauty of doing it that way is that you can actually just take a fork and scoop it right out because it's cut in half.
Right.
It's just the way to, it's just the easiest way to serve it when they're grilled like that.
Okay, nice. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chef Angus An. I'm going to invite our next chef up for our Q&A. And if you have questions to our folks watching, please do ask them in the Q&A. Even if you've got a comment, I'm happy to hear from all of you. All right, joining us from Victoria this evening is Ken Nakano. He's the executive chef at the Inn at the Laurel Point. He's also led culinary teams at the Shangri-La Hotel in Vancouver, the Rosewood Hotel Georgia, and at Fairmont Hotels. Chef Nakano has prioritized sustainability and farm-to-table approach throughout his 20-year career, which is perfect fit for the small plates approach at the Aura Waterfront Restaurant and Patio and other culinary operations at the inn at the Laurel Point. Hello, Chef. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Hi, Lien. Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Great. I'm just going to make sure I see you on my screen here. Let's see. Oh, I don't know why I don't see you. Oh, there we go. There you are. I think my Zoom's just not. Oh, there you are. Chef there. Oh, your recipe is also amazing. So we already have that one going in our kitchen. My mother-in-law dropped off yuzu kosho for us this afternoon because we just had to try it. It looked super simple, but so delicious. My husband was so proud of himself.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was the simplicity and the, keeping the spot prawn, the nature and the sweetness of the spot prawn there was the goal to developing this one.
Right, yeah, and you decided to do it on charcoal. So why specific? I guess it was binchutan. Is that what you decided to do it on? Why was
it's
that?
a really hot burning charcoal. The Conroe grill really radiates an infrared type of heat, so it gives a nice roasted flavor. There's very little flame and very little flare up, so you get that pure roasted flavor. And again, cooking it on the shell side, it's one of my favorite aromas and flavors. It's that roasted shellfish shell flavor. So that was the idea there.
Yeah, it seems really nice. So Angus told us how he likes to have his spot prawns at home. What about for you, Chef? How do you like to enjoy your spot prawns normally?
Oh, well, usually it's so simple. We poach them. Again, really, we are pouring boiling water on them for 3 minutes, something, very quickly. Peeling it, and it's pretty much 1 part soy to 2 parts rice wine vinegar. And that's just the dipping sauce. So we peel the head off. We enjoy the miso from the head, which is there's a lot of intense flavor from there. Peeling the tail and dipping it, and it's pretty simple as that.
Nice. And are you making stock and all kinds of things of the heads and shells and things like that?
Well, not when we eat it that way, but yeah, when we prepare it the other ways, yeah, we make a nice stock. There's a great udon or a soba stock that my mother used to make when we were younger.
Nice. And how did you get introduced to spot prawns?
Well, my father was an avid outdoorsman, so we're always fishing and trapping and doing all kinds of stuff. So we started eating a lot of side striped shrimp, and then along came the spot prawns here and there, and it was such a treat. I mean, very seasonal. We would get them maybe once or twice a year and think about it for the rest of the year. So it was always something to celebrate. I like any kind of food that's highly seasonal, and we can really celebrate the seasonality of it.
Yeah. And how long ago was that now? How long have you been having them for?
20, 30 years probably.
Oh, wow, amazing.
Well, we're pretty big fish eaters in our family. Some of the memories I remember from the herring sale, the CJOR herring sale, my dad would get us up. We'd be waiting on the dock with our Lucerne ice cream buckets at 4 a.m. My brother and I were kind of grumbling away, but that was our real connection to local seafood and eating from those days. Yeah.
Now it's panned out into a career and you've extended the passion. That's very cool. That's very cool. And so, yeah, and I know I heard you say in your videos as well that you guys you're growing so much of your own produce at the inn at Laurel Point, right?
Oh, it's fantastic. Since the renovation last year, they did put an extensive renovation, and there's about an acre of kitchen garden. I've never experienced this before. We're going crazy. So there's an
acre. Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of it is. Well, I mean, it's beautiful, and a lot of their weddings are there. We have a great event and wedding business, and a lot of pictures out in the garden. We have a couple of water features out there, but in amongst some of the beautiful plants, we have some indigenous vegetables, some specialty stuff. We're growing some citrus, berries, all kinds of things going on out there.
Cool. And I guess sustainability must be a factor in so much of what you do then.
Well, we compost, we do our own, we're treating the soil. The cooks it's very inspiring. I mean, the cooks are making a connection with growing our stuff. Again, there's not a lot of volume of products that we have. So again, we're celebrating each and everything. We're looking, the turnips are popping up right now, so we'll be featuring those in Oron for the small plates. They'll be gone in a week, and then we'll move on to something else. And we've sort of planned with the gardener that we'll be rotating through many different crops as the years go by. Being the first year, a lot of the berries and stuff won't come to fruit, but again, we planted a few things that will. I'm watching the artichoke grow. It will be probably by the end of summer, we'll hopefully have something, sea buckthorn berries, for example, but we have beets, turnips, sunchoke, potatoes, and those kind of things growing, as well as kale and the things that grow really well here. But some of the specialty items, kaffir lime, lemongrass, we're looking at lemons, oranges, persimmon, yuzu. There's a few things like that that we're very excited about.
Wow. And do you think you would end up making your own like yuzu kusho, like things like that, like using what you guys grow and
Oh, 100%. Yeah, a little bit
Cool.
of yuzu, the mostly the zest, a little bit of the juice that we can get from them, some green chilies that we'll have growing there, and salt. Really, it's a basic thing. It's a bit of a fermented hot sauce.
Right.
with the chilies.
Cool.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're very excited.
Fun. And so, Sherry and Phil have another great comment. They say there was a chef that was a killer cornrow that you had there. Great idea to use it as a general cooking surface as well. We will steal that idea.
Well, the inn, it's a 100% green hotel. It's all electrically powered. So our kitchen is 100% induction and electric. So it was a real treat to get some live fire going on. So I brought my cornrow grill, and we had that. We'll be doing a few. We've been doing a few features like that for the patio as we're reopening again. So you'll smell it outside for sure.
Yeah, sounds good. And I'd love to be able to go to Victoria. I still can't at this point, but go out there and be able to smell the spot prawns being cooked out there. It must be such a beautiful, sweet scent.
Please come anytime you like.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Chef.
You're very welcome.
I am now going to invite the third of our chefs from this evening. On the line from the scenic north end of the Naramada branch are Chef Stacy, Johnston, and Ned Bell of the Naramada Inn. They are actually in the kitchen right now, so let me see if I can see them. Hello, chefs, are you there? There they are. Hello.
We are. Hello.
Hello, you are in the middle of service. All right, let me read your bios first. So born and raised in Saskatchewan, Chef Stacy's culinary training and career path passed through several acclaimed local restaurants. She was awarded Best Dish at Chef Meets Great Vancouver in 2019. And last year, she picked up the People's Choice Award at the Ocean Wise Chowder Chowdown. Stacy is now sous chef at the Naramada Inn. And Chef Ned Bell is well known for his dedicated and impassioned advocacy on sustainable fisheries on behalf of Ocean Wise. And he's now the chef and owner of the Naramada Inn. He's also the author of the best-selling cookbook, Lure, Sustainable Seafood Recipes from the West Coast. Welcome to the both of you. How's service going?
Great. Can you see us? Because we just see photos. You can see us.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, we can see the both of you. You're both in frame. You look fantastic. And what is on the pan in front of you?
Well, spot prawns, of course. We have some, I mean, our food at the Naramada Inn is French Naramation. So hyper local, hyper seasonal, really of the moment. So it's sort of constantly coming at us right now. We're super excited to be back in the kitchen, in the dining room. And we have a busy Saturday night on our hands, so this is going to be fun.
I know. I can't believe you are. It's 7:43. You're in the middle of actual service and doing this. So we are so appreciative. So first of all, I want to ask you, Stacy. You worked at the Vancouver Aquarium. Safe to assume, sustainable oceans, big part of your passion. When it comes to spot prawns, what makes it special for you?
That's a really great question. Like you said,
Oh, it's a little bit hard to hear you, Stacy. Yeah, we could hear Ned though.
Here we are. Go on this side.
Like you said, I'm originally from
much better.
Saskatchewan. Great. I'm originally from Saskatchewan. I've said it 3 times now. I'm obviously proud. So the first time I saw a spot prawn, I was kind of like, whoa. I mean, they're giant, they're gorgeous, they're delicious. But what I really love the most about them is like how people recognize the seasonality of it. Working with Ocean Wise really, really made me so excited about sustainability and seasonality. And so when people are actually so excited and recognize it, it's amazing. And we have to do that with more of our seafood. You know, you can't have salmon, you can't have halibut 365 days a year. So unless you're doing it from responsible farms, but the fact that people know that about spot prawns and it's celebrated just really makes me happy.
Yeah, you know, that's a really great point for all of us as consumers and you know, diners to actually recognize that. Like you said, we can't have halibut year round, right? It's just it's not a great thing for our oceans to be doing that. And as Cam says, we've got about 30 to 40 days this year. And so Ned, over to you. Do you remember your first taste of spot prawn? When and where was that?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, I was born here in Penticton, and I was raised on the coast in Victoria. And my father used to take me wild salmon fishing, and we would pull up sport traps of prawns and all kinds of extraordinary things just off of Lower Vancouver Island there. And, you know, I'm one of the lucky ones. I knew I wanted to be a chef at a young age, and I did my apprenticeship at Le Crocodile, and then we opened a restaurant called Lumiere in 1995. So spot prawns were a big part of my life, have been a big part of my life for decades, really. And, you know, the importance of sustainability, of making sure we understand how hard the fishers are working. We're looking for ocean-wise recommended seafood. We're supporting our local economy, our local community, and really paying a fair price for a fisher's catch. You know, that's what's so important to me as a chef, to Stacy and I, and our team here at the Naramada Inn, is we want to support what's immediately around us. And of course, when you live on the coast down in Vancouver, how fortunate are you? But the great thing about tonight is that I'm in Naramada with Stacy. We have spot prawns on the menu, thanks to our fishmonger, John at Codfathers. And, you know, we're just really, there they are. We're just really fortunate to have premium ingredients from British Columbia. I'm sure it's hard to hear. I'm really sorry, guys. It is
No.
right
We can hear you. Not bad. We're glad to see that you've got a busy night. So
it's amazing. We are super, super fortunate and super happy that people are coming to join us this time, for sure.
Okay, so Sandra says that she loved your dish. It was so fresh, full of flavor, and easy to make. I cannot wait to try it, Sandra. We are going to be firing it up in my kitchen very shortly. We're almost towards the end of our night. So chefs Ned and Stacy, tell us about the dish. Like, what do you guys want us to know about the recipe you've created for the Spot Prawn Festival?
Yeah, you know, Stacy and I have been cooking together for a long time, and as I mentioned before, my food is rooted in French cuisine, and Stacy and I together are really looking at the place here in Naramata and in the South Okanagan. And so the aioli was really this base sort of delicious, luxurious dip or sauce that you could take in any direction you may want. You know, if you wanted to add a little foraged sumac or wild watercress or stinging nettles, you know, if you happen to have access to some of that stuff, or maybe you're down on the coast and you want some more global flavors, you can take an aioli in any direction you want. I really wanted to have rhubarb on the menu because it's around up here. When I filmed the recipe down there, I couldn't get my hands on any rhubarb, but of course we have radishes and we have some shaved organic fennel from some of our farmers up here. So our food is constantly changing, and the recipe that we created was really super simple. It was all about technique. Of course, asparagus from Clippers Organics in Coston, and the most important thing is cook the spot prawns properly. Know your fisher, make sure it's ocean-wise recommended. You know, big congrats to the Chef's Table Society for the work that they continue to do, and Stacy and I are really proud to be here tonight, even though the machine won't stop beeping in my right ear, and we're super in the weeds right now. So,
okay, you say technique is key with your dish. So, Stacy, what is the key technique in that dish that you guys came up with? Chef Ned mentioned that not overcooking the prawns. Anything else that we should know?
I think just like paying attention to the texture of your aioli. You really want it to be super creamy, super unctuous, and that comes from, you know, using the right proportion of egg yolks and oil. And of course, we're using Saskatchewan canola oil. We're doing the crowd Sassy. Just really paying attention to your textures and to the freshness of your ingredients. I mean, making dishes when all of the ingredients are, you know, what they're needed, of course, it's going to taste delicious. It just makes it even easier for us and for you in extension.
That is
Fernando, I need
great
those two
advice. And I really appreciated how committed you guys are to making sure that you're only using food that's from your region, because you're not even using lemon in that aioli. You guys are using wine, which is even better. So excellent.
We are fortunate enough. Fortunate enough to be in one of the most amazing growing regions in Canada. So why not celebrate what's around us? Why not make a dedication to just using exactly, what's here, what's available, because we're so lucky to be where we are.
Exactly. And being in the Okanagan, you can't get any better produce than across the country. Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you to the both of you for joining us tonight from the middle of your kitchen, from the middle of service. So we appreciate it. We're going to let you guys get back to it. If we have any Q&As, I'll call for you guys, but I think we should be good to go. So have a good one.
Thanks, Leanne. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Happy
you.
Spot Prawning, and thanks to all the fishers for the incredible work that they do.
All right, thank you. So for those of you watching, if you do have any questions at this point, do punch them into the Q&A, but I see it's only been a couple that have come on here and there. I'd like to thank all of our chefs and our fishers. I have learned so much already so far tonight. To wrap up then, I would like to ask Chef Clark to join us one more time. Chef Clark, you wanna turn your camera on? Let us see that lovely fish shirt. Hello.
Hi.
All right,
Okay.
All right, so Chef Clark, we want to know, I think Cam talked to us about how long we think this season will last for. He's guessing 30 to 40 days. 2 weeks have already passed, so we don't have too much more time left. How do we find our spot prawns? Where do you recommend people get them?
I would get them anywhere possible. I mean, go down to fish. I mean, I always like going down to Fisherman's Wharf, hanging out with the fishermen. That's an experience, but please support your local fishmongers. I mean, all fresh ideas start here, the Daily Catch, Fish Counter, Finest at Sea, they all have spot prawns. Support them. You can get them online, like Cam was mentioning. You can order them, have them delivered to your house. It's pretty damn easy to get spot prawns this year, and I would encourage everybody to, if you haven't tried them, take that step and try them. And of course, if you love them, the fishermen are saying the season's going to be short. So the season's going to be short.
Okay. All right. I did have a question. I think you could probably answer this. Cam did talk about it a little bit, but I think it's a really key one. What's the best way to keep prawns alive before cooking? This is from Anita.
Well, Anita, like Cam said, you gotta, I recommend cooking them as quickly as possible. So if I want to serve them or eat them with the heads on, I buy them only 2-3 hours before, or I buy them, I will eat them 2 or 3 hours before, after I've purchased them, and no longer than that, because they're not getting any better. If I want to eat them later than 2 or 3 hours after I've purchased them live, then I take the heads off right away, and they'll last 2 or 3 days in your fridge. Perfect. I mean, they don't. Once the heads are off, you're good to go for a couple of days. It's not a problem. And people, one thing I want to point out, people are very frozen seafood always has this stigma about it. Spot prawns freeze incredibly well, so you can enjoy spot prawns 365 days of the year. Buy them in frozen tubs that they've been frozen in salt water or in a salt solution, and they'll last. And they're almost as good as fresh, and they're so easy to handle. So go.
Oh, that's a great piece of advice. And I saw Angus, you had put in your demo note there's a little sidebar note about when the prawns go dark, the heads go dark, they indicate something. Angus, if you wanted to give us some more insight on that.
It indicates that you should not touch it.
Okay.
As all the chefs
often
mentioned, they do release those enzymes pretty quick, and then the color is often a really good indication of that. So usually I'm very careful with the prawn heads, because I do like to cook them with the head on, and I do like to eat them when possible. But if it's any slight coloration, that's not perfectly color like your shirt, I would not touch it.
Okay, but it's still safe to eat the tail.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I think if the heads are clear before you cook them and they sort of turn a bit black, then I usually just peel it off and it's fine, because I feel like that's probably them releasing the enzyme as they're dying in the hot water or such. But if I come home and, you know, I'm driving for 20 minutes and I come home and I see like 5 or 6 of them already blacked out, they're being tossed out.
They're being tossed out. Okay, all right, because they are indeed the canaries of the ocean, very finicky seafood.
That's catching on. Canaries of the ocean, yes.
Canaries of the ocean. All right, good to know. So thank you for that question, Anita, and thank you for answering that, Angus and Robert. All right, and Darren, you had mentioned that the Chef's Table Society chowder is currently available. Where can people find it?
Yeah, thanks, Lien. It's currently available through Organic Ocean as well as Legends Hall. So it is a Manhattan-style tomato-based chowder. Lots of delicious local vegetables and local seafood, sustainable seafood as well.
I heard it was sold out. It's not sold out though, right?
It is not sold out. No, the rumors are greatly exaggerated.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll have to try and get my hands on some. That is my family's favorite type of chowder, Manhattan style. So great. Thank you so much. All right. So I think that is it for me. I am going to hand things over to Chef Clark to wrap things up for us tonight. Thank you to all of you.
And just before, Leanne, I just want to thank you very much for all your MC duties. Thanks for taking the time. And also want to thank all the chefs, Chef Robert, and all the chefs who participated in this virtual event. Thanks for being a part of this year's pivot. There you go, Angus. There's one for you. Thanks very much to our sponsors, of course, Pacific Prawn Fishermen's Association, the False Creek Fishermen's Wharf, Whole Foods Markets, and my colleagues at UBC for helping out with the technical aspects of our evening tonight. Of course, all of my colleagues at the Chef's Table Society of British Columbia who do a lot of work behind the scenes to make an event like tonight happen. And I just want to remind everyone, please, if you are cooking, you can see the Spot Prawn, some of our hashtags there, where to follow us. So please post your dishes and add the hashtags. We'd love to see your interpretation of these dishes. Maybe, Leanne, you can even give Angus's recipe another crack and post it online for us.
I'm ordering the sauce from Legends Hall, and then I'm going to put it together and then
nobody
show the
needs
picture of that.
Nobody needs to know, right?
Right, exactly. How am I going to get the fried onions? I think there's like fried shallots or something. I have to try and figure that part out. You know what? I did get, we did get a last minute question, and I thought this was a great one. So I do want to answer this one. Okay, two last minute questions. So this one from Joan. So Joan asked, don't forget how great the shells are in making bisque. Yes, great point. The chef Chris Whitaker won the Chowder Chowdown twice using the shells. Any tips on how to deal with the shells? Chef Ken Nakano, did you want to answer that one? Any tips on dealing with the shells and how you would make a bisque afterwards?
Yes, I just quickly saute them with some leeks, a little bit of shallots. I use a little bit of sake or white wine, either or you can use. Cook it down and water, let that cook out for a little while, but that's basic cooking. Some of them I cook in dashi, and then we get a nice soup stock or a flavoring that way. But I think keep it really light and simple, nothing too heavy, nothing too oily, and it's very nice. You can use it to add to your soup or cook with your sauces. It's a beautiful flavor.
And would you say, for example, with your dish, would you take the heads that you had barbecued and then saute them, or would you rip them off raw and then saute them and then turn them into bisque? What would you?
Either or, you get a nice grilled flavor if you do it that way, and only if you're eating them yourself. I mean, we scoop the head or the miso from the head, and that's why I like to cook it that way. But yeah, absolutely, you can roast them. You know, some people would like to grind them. You want to get as much of that shell and a lot of that body from the shell itself by grinding it, strain it, and you get that nice biscuity texture. They're very nice.
Okay, good to know. That's a great question. Thank you for that, Joan. And then one more question from Anita. This is also a good one. Does the size of prawn determine taste or texture? Who wants to take that? Darren, did you want to take that? Does the size of the prawn determine taste or texture?
Yeah, sure, I can. I mean, it's just going to be, I think, most important thing about the size is obviously to adapt your cooking time. slightly, right? When they start to get a little bit smaller on the smaller side, and you won't have that same kind of mouthfeel and that bite that you will with the more plump spot prawns. But as far as the taste, I personally haven't noticed a difference, because the season is short, and generally you're not going to get any spot prawns that are too small anyway. So the taste isn't affected for me.
Right, I agree. And I think Angus, when he was putting together, skewering the prawns in the demo, made a really good point of trying to make them all the same size, because that will affect your cooking time. So in that sense, I guess your texture could be affected if you're very particular. So
yeah, I'll chime in
great
on the
point.
size thing again. It is important to size them. Obviously, cooking time when it's a minute or 45 seconds matters a lot. So what I did the other day at home was actually sizing the smaller ones out, and I peeled the shells out of the smaller ones to eat them raw, because they're harder to cook and get the perfect texture because they're so small. Then I take the smaller shells, I make a broth with it, and then I actually end up poaching the rest of the prawns in that broth, and then I take the enriched broth to make a paella, and I put the prawns afterwards on top, because you would never be able to cook the prawns successfully in a paella and have them stay firm. So then I end up poaching the prawns in its own broth to enrich the broth and then put them back in. So, you know, there are a lot of tricks that you can do with that, but definitely sizing them is going to help you a lot.
Oh, those are some great tips there. Thank you so much for that, Chef. And Angus, Linda says your chili jam was the jam. So, all right, with that, I think that's all of our questions from tonight. Robert, did you have any closing remarks as well?
I just want to say I want to thank the Chef's Table Society and everybody that's been involved in putting this on, because it's a real thrill and a pleasure just to see, despite all the obstacles, that it was still enough energy behind spot prawns and the excitement about spot prawns to actually put all this work together, to have this virtual, and it was fun. I mean, I'm not a computer guy. I liked it, so I'm sure everybody that's involved has had a great evening. I learned a lot from the guys and girls. Sorry, Stacy, I'm not trying to single you out. Actually, you were very entertaining. I'm very, very impressed with how you're bringing Ned along. That's good. That's good.
She is a dynamo. All right, thank you so much, Chef. With that, I'm going to bring our webinar today to a close. Thank you so much to everyone for joining the 15th Annual Spot Prawn Festival virtually from your homes. That's it for us from this evening. Have a good night, everyone.